Good morning, everybody. It's Vicki with the Lavinia World Video Design Team, and I wanted to take a minute before we start our project to just tell everybody that, first of all, thank you for following and supporting Lavinia World. We just had our 1-year anniversary, and I can't believe how much fun we've had and how fast the time went. But one of the things as a designer that I personally get asked is about my backgrounds. And I've played with the ink for a long time. Sometimes I get stellar results and I'm super excited about what they look like. But there are other times where I'm thinking somebody else made something look so super simple and I can't get it. And I wanted to let you all know that ask the questions, be patient, try new techniques. That's a hard one for me. I kind of stay in my little crafting box because I like certain things and there's a certain effect that I like or a certain design style that I like. But I'm trying and I'm going to keep trying, even though I usually end up reverting back to whatever it was that I was working on. But where I'm going with all of this is that not only do we have stamps and dyes and stencils and ink mediums and other tools out on the Lavinia World website, we actually do carry the Lavinia Stamps SceneScapes. And this is a super easy way for you to apply the Lavinia stamps to cards and have obviously gorgeous backgrounds. But it also gives you a tool to kind of practice with. If you like this style, ask one of us on the design team, how do you think they got this? We'll help you. And we want to answer those questions. And we also want to make sure that the supplies you need are something that we carry out on the website. But this is one of my favorites, and I have to tell you that because I like to make the backgrounds. I haven't even opened this yet. I opened it for you guys, but I've had this for a long time. This is the Lavinia SceneScapes. This one is called, I just had it, Timeless. And let me pull the one out of the package that I had for you. And it's gorgeous. Now, this is a bigger one. So for those of us in the U.S. that make A2 cards on a regular basis, this one probably isn't the best bet, but it would make a stunning 5x7 card. But it's got the moon, it's got that halo around that we've shown you how to do with the sponge. It looks like a little bit of torn paper right here where they've made the kind of the mountains and the little dips in the valleys and stuff. And then I believe this is the skeleton tree with the berry stamps. But these have been applied for you. So all you have to do is go back in and add the stamps and add it to a card base and you're done. They've done the hard work for you. I don't consider it hard work. I actually think it's the fun work. There's something very satisfying about leaving my craft room at the end of the day with purple and blue and pink fingers, and I habitually wipe my hands in my pants, so I usually have rainbow colored blue jeans on as well. But again, this is the Timeless SceneScape. You can get it on Lavinia World. But for our project today, we're actually going to use the SceneScapes. This one is called Woodland Walk. Now, I got these. These were the first ones that I ordered, and they're still much bigger than an A2 card. So I trimmed down about 1/4 of an inch on the top and not quite 1/4 of an inch off each side because I wanted to get the tree, but or part of the bark, and when that's where it's the darkest. But here it is where I've trimmed it down, so you can see that I really didn't lose much of the card on it, more on the side, but I can go back in and add that later. But this was the size that I needed. Now this is 4 by 5 1/4, And so I did mat it with, I found a lavender sheet of cardstock, and then again, a black base. So this is the Woodland Walk, I think I just told you. Yep, so this is Woodland Walk, and so we are going to make this project today. So I think it's stunning. Purple and green wouldn't normally be a color that I would probably put together, but on the card it looks great. I've added it with the lavender and then the black card base, so it's got a nice frame, and I literally only had to use 3 stamps again. And I think that's important for those of you that are just starting to buy Lavinia stamps. Find a couple that are your favorite, and how can you use those over and over until you get a little more mad money, or you know, your private little stash that you keep hidden in your room to get that. But I used, this is called the bulrush, which is really quite similar to a cattail. Maybe they call it something different in the UK. I'm not sure, but it's a silhouette image. It's got the grass and then the heavy bulbous flower at the top. I've used the dragonfly from the fairy, what do they call them? The fairy bugs. There's 4 stamps in that, 2 spiders, kind of a ladybug looking beetle, and then the dragonfly. And then of course I have used the duck's silhouette, which paired perfectly with this card. So let's get started, and it's really a simple process, and we're going to make this super quick. So let's get going. So I've got everything matted for us, or pre-cut, and just for speed's sake, because I wanted to be able to finish the card for you. So I've got an A2 card, and then I've got the purple mat. I've cut that in, I think that is 1/8 of an inch on each side, and then I've got my SceneScape pre-cut, and I did that because I want to be sure that my stamps are going to be in the position that I want them. And they are. And like I will probably always do for you guys, unless I'm showing you how I kind of set mine up on the platform, I've already got my stamp ready to go. So I've got my wild goose, or actually I believe this is called gaggle of geese. It's kind of a funny word, gaggle. So I've already got that in there. And again, this is a silhouette. So you're going to want to, sorry, I'm going to get you back into focus here. You are going to want to make sure that you use a nice wet ink pad, or allow yourself the opportunity to go back in. This one is a full silhouette and it's smaller, so you might be able to double stamp, but again, investing in a platform was the best idea. And best thing I ever did, because I love that I can go back and stamp it 2 times. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. I'm using the Nocturne Versafine Clair, which is a black, and I re-inked this once again. And as a reminder, don't forget that when you have the stamps and you have a little bit of open space, or maybe it didn't lay quite right on the paper, get that Sharpie marker out, everybody, and just fill it in. Alright, so let's see how we're looking. And this paper is very smooth, and it's got a little bit of a coating on it, not enough. That's going to make your stamp slip and slide, as long as you're careful. And I'm going to go ahead and ink that just one more time. Really don't need to, because you could go back and shade if you wanted to, but I'm not. And this card I'm literally just using only stamps. I'm not going back in with any embellishments. I'm not using any Nouveau drops or, anything like that. So look, you could really even walk away with this card. It just looks like the sun is behind them, or the moon, actually. I like that white on our image there. Just getting that platform out of the way. But you can see, so we've got our moon. This looks like they used a little distress oxide when they were building this out, but I love it. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to use the bulrush. And what I did was I just put 1 on each side. I might have done 2 on my left hand side, But it's a very simple thing. Again, we're sticking with our black. We're not doing anything fancy today. And you might hear my dogs being kind of ugly in the back. We have bunnies under our outdoor building, and that's a fun thing to play with and chase. Okay, that's our first one. And look how much that, like, just one extra stamp here changed the whole mood of this. I love it. I hadn't used these, and I bought them because I liked the background, and I thought I'm going to play with some ink mediums until I figure it out. But now that I've pulled these out, I think I'm actually going to build a set of cards, and I think this is masculine, in my opinion, and that's great because that's the one card I struggle with. And I don't know about you all, but anytime I get asked to make a man card or a card for a man, I'm like, oh, and I just get such a craft block and kind of panic. But this is simple, and this would be perfect. This would also make a great sympathy card because of I think the coloring and just the simplicity. Then I'm going to pop just a couple of the it's a dragonfly. I'm going to pop just a couple of those down. Now, because this does have a little bit of a coating, it will take a second to dry. But I could heat set it with my heat gun if I wanted to. But I don't think we need to do that because you all are going to get the idea. So I will give it a second to finish drying, but I'm going to mat that card. So I spent more time explaining to you and talking to you about SceneScapes than it did to make this card. I will probably do some type of a happy birthday inside because I do think that while it's soft and feminine, I do think this card is pretty masculine. But anyway, again, we used the fairy insects and I pulled that little tiny dragonfly out of there. We're using the bulrushes, and I think I'm saying that right. And then I've got the gaggle of geese, and that's 4. So the SceneScapes, super inexpensive way to build up your card indexing and learning some different techniques, but give them a try. I'm going to post all of the links at the bottom. Have a great day, everybody.